Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. This is Success with Srini.
Welcome back to Success with Srini. Happy Tuesday morning to you. Tuesdays are a bit busy for me personally because this is the day of the week where I do a radio show that happens in the evening. So every activity that is leading to the time slot, I need to get all the activities done. I need to position myself. Sometimes I go to the station, sometimes I do the shows remotely. So I need to really get things done leading to my show. This morning I woke up with all these things on my mind and I suddenly realized that last week I did the show on human mind and consciousness and I don't have the recording, and I should be talking more about the mind and consciousness on this podcast, which I do not. So here is what I'm going to do today. So today I'm going to share some cliff notes from my last radio show. Hopefully this will be helpful. If it is, do me a favor, write a review, rate the podcast. And if you have somebody who you think will benefit from this, please share this podcast with them. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave me a comment. Please subscribe to the channel. And that way I can reach more people. Selfish ask. I know I'm selfish. I know. Okay, so let's get into this. Carl Jung said there are 4 things we need: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. When we have these 4 things intact, we're going to have an easy life. I don't think he said that, but I'm saying that. Yeah, you get your thinking, feeling, intuition, and your sensation in place. That means you're functioning. You're functioning the right way. And because you're functioning the right way, you will have all the happiness, all the success, whatever, right? Makes sense. Now, in order for the consciousness to work, the mind has to work. And most people, they clutter their mind. They put too many things and eventually they become as if they've lost control. So they become a subservient to their mind. Their mind then starts controlling them. Armand McGill, the great dean of hypnotists, one of the greatest hypnotists whom I studied, explained this phenomenon in an incredible manner. He said, one of our life purposes is to make sure that we keep our mind clean, like a crystal. Emphasizes that, like a crystal. We need to keep our mind clean like a crystal. He says, when we keep the mind like a crystal, then our perception, then we as a perceiver, and whatever we are trying to be perceived, whatever we are trying to put together as a result of our perception, all these 3 things will work in conjunction. But every time you have stress, every time you have worry, overwhelm, anxiety, and all those things, then your perception goes for a toss. You, as perceived, as the individual who is perceiving, you are gone for a toss. And then whatever you are trying to put together, that is also gone for a toss. And he says people, lose control of their mind and have no idea how the mind works. And then they end up listening to their mind. So things like drinking, smoking, all kinds of habits come in. Even though they know that they are doing it wrong, they somehow cannot control their behavior because their mind is controlling them. And he says, he quotes Patanjali, the great yoga sage Patanjali. He says, Patanjali put together a simple formula on how to control the mind. He says, when you get control of the mind, there are 3 things that you can effectively and effortlessly do. The first and the foremost is you can tell the mind what to think. And you can also tell the mind when to think. And you can also tell the mind when to stop thinking. You get control of the mind, you can literally make sure that the mind serves you. Profound. Then he also says something interesting. He says, people complain, and happens to all of us, where sometimes we feel we have no control on what we're doing. There's too much going on. How do you start? Where do you cut? Where do you pause? Well, he says, if there is a lot going on in your mind, all you have to do is go silent. Don't say anything. Don't process anything. Interesting. Very interesting. You see, in life, our goal is to become instinctive. We should be able to do anything, everything with ease. But when we clutter our mind, everything becomes hard. Even the smallest of the small things becomes hard. If you place your fingers on a typewriter, you should be fluidly typing, on the keyboard, fluidly, on the piano, fluidly playing. But if you have to think about every note that you have to play to construct a song, it becomes hard. It becomes stressful. You will not enjoy this and you will give up. And that's why most people give up. Now, as you are directing your mind to think what to think when to think, and to stop when you want it to stop thinking, while you're doing that, let the mind do what it is supposed to do. And your job is to just be a witness to what your mind is doing, rather than getting consumed, rather than you yourself processing it. You see, there is a very interesting, if you go deep into this, even though the mind is within us, but then we separating ourselves from the mind and we becoming an observer to things that are being processed by the mind, even though we are the subject ourselves, it's very well put and very well explained and very well articulated. It's very hard to create this separation, but once you do it, nothing touches you, nothing affects you. In one of the podcasts, I talked about this earlier. Our job is to stand on the side of the road, the freeway, and see all the cars passing by, going by, and our job is not to attach ourselves to each of the vehicles that are moving on the freeway. Our job is to let them pass and we observe. And he closes this by saying, with the power of your mind, or the power of your mind can take you to the height of your genius or down to the depth of insanity. The choice is yours. On the show, I also explained what all can be done to bring back, to get back the control of the mind. Of course, there is yoga, of course, there is hypnosis, of course, there is meditation, there are different activities. We talk about that all the time on the podcast here. And at my seminars, my workshops, I demonstrate the power of hypnosis. But there is something that you can do today in your life. And I shared these 5 principles, which by the way are not mine. These are the things that I learned also. One of the most effective ways to get control of your mind is that you start falling in love with life. And that you start getting involved with people. Not superficially, in depth. You get involved with people. You start feeling concerned for people. And then you surrender yourself to an objective. Maybe a career objective you have, maybe a financial objective you have, maybe a relationship objective you have. Whatever you have, you got to commit to. You need to surrender to that objective so that all your effort goes and all your time goes into achieving that. And then you give your time to others. And then you explore. You spend some time exploring the unknown. And that involves maybe thinking, maybe studying, maybe masterminding, maybe praying, maybe meditating, maybe worshipping, whatever you think is right for you. And you do this, you're enhancing the consciousness. I hope today's podcast is helpful. If it is, I'm going to stop here. Hopefully this is helpful. If it is, let me know. I will go take care of other things and get ready for my radio show. And hopefully today's radio show comes out to be a great show. Then probably I will have the cliff notes of today's show on tomorrow's podcast episode. That's all for now. Wherever you are, be safe, and I'll talk to you as early as tomorrow. Bye now.